we're going to do a little demonstration. So we got a board. We have a volunteer, a victim. We can welcome Ishas to the stage. The way we're going to do this is Anish, as you may have noticed, has decided to wear a blindfold. We didn't require it, but he said, you know what, it's going to be, yeah, let's give it a go. Every time Anish would like to play a move, he'll tell me what move he'd like to make. I'll make it on his behalf. When Ishas would like to make a move, I'll recite that back to Anish. But let's give it a go. Anish, let's get that opening move.
Okay, I play the pawn e2 to e4.
We're playing e4 for our opening move. And if I've set up right, boom, it's on the board. There we go. That's technology. e5.
Knight g1 to f3.
E, F, yeah, there we go. We're safe. Most common opening, I believe.
We got live commentary as well.
Yeah. For about...
Thank you very much.
For about the first 4 moves, and then that's roughly where I end. Knight c6.
Bishop f1 to c4.
Bishop f1 to c4. There we go. It's an Italian game, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
There we go. See, I told you about 4 moves. Knight to f6.
Pawn d2 to d3.
Pawn d3. Response, pawn h6.
Short castle.
Short castle's on board. Bishop e7.
Knight b1 to c3.
He's not looking under pressure yet. Too many options. Pawn d6.
Pawn a2 to a4.
Bishop e6.
I need to know what's my opponent's rating.
Let's hear. What's your?
Don't tell him.
What have we got for the online rating?
Okay.
FIDE rating, or Chess.com lichess? Chess.com 1100. Okay.
Okay, that's a good level. Knight to d5.
Knight d5.
c3 to d5, yeah.
I can't resist. Can I help you out with the commentary? All right, so we've got a pretty positional game going on here. Anish just grabbed a little space on the queen side. He just played bishop takes d5. Was the last move played? What's on the board for white? For black? Bishop takes d5. Anish?
e4 takes d5.
So a little surprising move here that we're taking with the pawn. A lot of people would want to recapture with the piece maybe, but he wants to keep the light square bishop on the board, keep the bishop pair. Got an attack on the knight going on. That's becoming a little more dynamic. The pawn structure is changing.
I feel like I'm learning something.
We've got a major threat on the knight here.
Hey. That's too much.
Knight a5.
Bishop to a2, c4 to a2.
Anish wants to preserve the bishop pair. Leave this knight maybe
Maybe.
stranded.
Maybe.
A retreating move that might have a threat.
Maybe. Might also not.
Pawn to b6.
Pawn b6, we're creating a retreat square for the knight due to the threat of pawn to b4 winning a piece.
Courtesy of the commentator. b2 to b4.
Yeah, of course.
Knight retreats to b7.
Bishop a2 to c4.
Bishop back to c4.
So Anish is really playing against the pieces here. You can see that the b7 knight is struggling to find a home. The f6 knight also struggling. Not many places to go. The e7 bishop struggling a bit. But white has their own problems. The light square bishop is blocked in. The dark square bishop looks like it has the most potential maybe, although it's not clear how that's going to develop over time. Maybe we'll see bishop b2 and pawn to d4 opening this diagonal.
Pawn to a6.
Okay, pawn to d4. d3 to d4.
Yeah, on board.
So black is faced with an important question. We've got two attackers on e5 here, only one defender. Will they sacrifice a pawn? Is he going to just take? If he takes, the white knight is going to start to hop into this c6 square, for example. That looks really weak. That would be an excellent post for this knight that currently isn't doing that much. But if we push the pawn instead, maybe it becomes weak.
I think we need the rating of the commentator as well.
Definitely.
Probably about 2100.
e5 takes d4.
Am I missing something because of the blindfold, or?
He's plus, I guess, +1.
Okay. Knight f3 to takes d4.
In addition to c6 being a potential problem, f5 is also a weak square that could encourage kind of a queenside attack, kingside attack, I mean. Black's really taking their time developing with the king, but now that the e-file is opening up, it's becoming a little more urgent. We might see rook to e1 getting out of this open file, trying to make that piece better. Bishop b2 is looking very likely for white to try to take advantage of this exposed diagonal. Still a big question of what's going on with these black minor pieces, how they're going to find more activity. You can see how the white pieces are starting to get into good squares. Anish is probably looking at the light square bishop, trying to figure out how that one's going to be stronger in the long run, although at the moment...
I'm looking at my blindfold at the moment, yes.
So right now, the bishop attacks a6, which kind of restricts the mobility of this a8 rook. So you can say that this bishop is doing a pretty nice job.
King to f8.
Rook f1 to e1.
So more traditional here would be to castle, because now we have to worry about this a8 rook, what that thing's going to do. Maybe we're going to see h5, h4, h3 for some kind of attack to make that rook make sense. Maybe h5, rook h6, rook g6, something like that. Queen d7.
Queen f3.
Lining up with the king, starting to create tactical pressure. Notice that if this knight moves away, we're going to see some pinned pawns here, so e6 and g6 are not as defended as it might appear. This is also taking control of f5, so we may see knight to f5 at some point. This knight has a couple of great options, so you may just want to keep that fluid. Doubling the rooks on the e-file may be coming. Queen g4. Black tries to neutralize the pressure by taking some pieces off, which seems like a good idea.
Queen to d3.
Also hits the exposed knight on d4.
Queen d3.
We may have to worry about rook to e3 to g3, getting this rook into the attack against the king. Still very unclear what this knight is doing.
It's pretty clear, I think.
Some of the greats used to say, if one piece stands badly, your whole army stands badly. So stronger players will be trying to figure out what is this guy's plan. This could be a nice free maneuver, though. That's looking at e5 here, potentially.
h3, pawn to h3.
This also opens up f6. Maybe we'll see bishop f6 to try to challenge this diagonal. Make sure that bishop b2 isn't crushing us.
Queen g6.
Knight d4 to e6 check.
We highlighted this highlighted this tactical shot earlier when the queen was on f3. Now the idea is to try to win your bet. It's a check. c7 is hanging as well. So we're starting to, it looks like Anish is going to win some material.
Queen takes g6.
One problem we have coming in is
f7 Queen on G6.
Knight takes C7 pawn.
There we go.
So we have some tactical issues here, which is more than losing the pawn. The rook and the bishop are both hanging simultaneously. And there's no rook E8 because the knight covers that square as well. So we have, we got problems. We got problems. It's going to be tough.
Rook C8.
Rook takes the bishop on E7.
Take bishop on C7.
E7. Rook takes the bishop on E7. Yes.
So I do have one.
We highlighted earlier that this bishop is was keeping this rook tied to the A6 pawn. Now that the rook has moved away, it may end up executing that threat.
Rook on C8 takes the knight on C7.
Take that.
Bishop bishop C1 to B2.
C1 to B2.
Anish says he doesn't care about this pawn over here. He wants to attack the king. We may be seeing this other rook enter the game as well, dominating the e-file.
King F8.
Rook A to E1.
Ball.
The threats are becoming more serious as we now have rook E8, king F7, rook F7 checkmate as a possible worry.
You're saying losing the game to possible concern.
It might happen, yeah. You'll notice how Anish is not reacting to the material hanging here and instead creating his own threats rather than a lot of players would just save this piece rather than play bishop b2, for example. He's calculating mate threats and saying, I don't need to deal with this attack. I can do my own thing. It's very common that if you can ignore your opponent's threats, that's the way you want to go.
Those less into or potentially new to chess, the classical chess game can go for 8+ hours. So we might be here for a while.
Luckily, the mate in 2 is almost inevitable.
I have no one till Saturday morning breakfast. Let's see, what are we going to chess? Are we saying that's a recommendation? No. Determined to fight to the death. Knight E5.
Rook takes c7.
Takes rook on C7. E5 knight takes the C4 bishop.
Now for the rare fans of Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura. Bishop b2 takes g7. Pre-move rook e1 to e8 and rook e8 to h8.
Bishop g7, king g8, rook e8, king h7, rook takes h8, checkmate.